there, Agile adventurer. Just a quick question. What if, for the price of a fancy coffee or half a pizza, you could unlock over 700 hours of the best Agile content on the planet? That's audio, video, e-courses, books, presentations, all that you can think of. But you can also join live calls with world-class practitioners and hang out in a flame war-free and AI slop-clean Slack with the sharpest minds in the game. Oh, and yes, you get direct access to me, Vasco, your Scrum Master Toolbox podcast. No, this is not a drill. It's the Scrum Master Toolbox membership. And it's your unfair advantage in the Agile world. So if you want to know more, go check out scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. That's scrummastertoolbox.org/membership. And check out all the goodies we have for you. Do it now. But if you're not doing it now, let's listen to the podcast. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Team Tuesday. This week we have with us Irene Castagnotto. Hey, Irene. Welcome back.
Hello again.
So Tuesday is Team Tuesday, of course, and we'll talk about teams in a second. But before we go there, Irene, share with us, what was the book that most inspired you in your career as a Scrum Master?
Mm-hmm. So the book that most inspired in my career, but basically also in my life, is Switch. So How to Change Things When Change is Hard by Chip and Dan Heath. And this is because what the book is saying is that change is not hard because people are lazy or resistant, but because it involves a conflict between our rational and emotional side. So I very like also studying psychology and something that and also pedagogy. So it's something that I always did in my life. And I think this book is very useful to understand how to bring up changes and how to help people change. It's very useful because they explain to you how the change is divided in 3 steps. The rider, which is the rational part, the elephant, which is the emotional part, and the path, which actually is the environment. So sometimes when we think about changes, we think just about the logical side, the rational part, but it's not enough sometimes. So, well, actually, mostly all the time. And it's very useful for the Scrum Master because you have to understand that you need rational, emotional, and environment at the same time to make a change happen. So basically, what they are saying is that when we have to apply a change, we have to understand the rational part, which is finding the problem, finding what's already working, and create changes that are concrete steps. So not value. It's like the user story. You have to take it small. You have to take it that is concrete, and you don't have to take something that is vague. And then you have to reduce the complexity, because when you see at the problem from a logical point of view, you can understand all the steps. And you can connect the dots and understand, okay, I can reduce complexity in this point, but this point is high risk. I cannot do it. But then when you understood the logic, you cannot just say, okay, this is the logic, we have to apply it. But you have to make people understand why we are doing it. So also the emotional part of you have to motivate them. So you have to explain the story, so the why, and also make the outcome feel achievable. So they can say, okay, this makes sense from a logical side, but also I am motivated because I believe in that change. And then the last part is, if you are logical and you have the emotion on your side, but you don't have the environment, it could be very, very, very hard to apply the changes. And that's where actually the Scrum Master has the most difficulty in so tweak the environment, make it happen, because everything near the person or near the team is letting them do it. And that's where we understand the issues. We understand if there are dependencies between teams. We understand if there's some teams problems, or roadmap problems, management problems. And you have to make it happen, also tweaking the environment. And then celebrate the processes, because if we say, okay, do it, next one, next one, next one, and we don't even stop and say, okay, good job. Sometimes a lot of developers have this kind of strategy. Okay, done, next one, done, next one. And when you ask them, okay, stop, please say that you've been good, everything is fine, they feel strange. It's so good to see that.
Yeah, absolutely. And that last part is actually very important because it keeps the others alive, right? Because if it's a never-ending sloth through a difficult process, people will eventually lose energy. I mean, some people don't, but most people will eventually lose energy, lose motivation, and stop.
Yeah. And that's the point. Also, don't being negative is something that is connected then to the teams that auto destroy themselves. But it's very important to understand that the change is not about pushing harder, but it's about creating condition. And that's why Scrum Masters are here. And that's why I think this is very useful from a Scrum Master point of view.
The change is not about pushing harder, it's about creating the conditions. Very well said. Sometimes teams are also affected by changes. Now, I don't know if the story of a self-destructing team you have for us is about a change process, but let's see. Let's explore that story, Irene. So share with us the story of a team. Tell us a little bit about their context, big team, small team, and so on. And then walk us through the steps, those small little behaviors that emerged and over time became a big problem for the team.
So at that moment, I was a part of the team, actually. And that wasn't a very good moment of my work life because I was very young. So I started working from a very young age. And at that point, I was studying university and working at the same time. So I just came by in this new company and I was trying to make myself into this team which was very, very, very small. And they were not working in Agile. So it's just a story about a team, not an Agile team. But I think it can be replicated in every team of the world. And what happened there is that in the first days, everything was good. Everything was nice. But in the end, it was no transparency at all. And like after a month, I understood how it was working. And they were very negative. And they were not speaking up. They were just, they had a manager that was very old school. So he wasn't letting them taking responsibility. He wasn't pushing them to work in a good way, but he was asking to do stuff that they didn't understand why they were doing. So here we have 3 key steps. So being negative, accepting everything and not speaking up, and don't understanding the why. So at some point, it was very hard to stay in that team and in that company because I felt that I was not listened, but I couldn't speak up at the same time because I was the only one that wanted to speak up. And this situation could be very normal in Italy because we have these small companies where you don't want to, like, where's the figure of the boss, and you cannot speak up in front of the boss. But I think that's something that my generation is not accepting anymore because maybe we also listen a lot to our parents, or they came home after a day of work and they were saying, oh, this happened, my boss, blah, blah, blah. So now I grew up with the intention that I don't have to stay quiet in front of a situation like that. So at that moment, I ran away. I completely ran away, but I was also very young and I didn't have the tools to change the reality. But I'm very sad about it, actually, because I think that also the people that were in the team were very good people, but they didn't have the right intention, or they didn't have the intention that I had. Doesn't mean that mine was a good one. But at the moment, I felt like that. So
yeah, and we don't need anybody's approval for what we think constitutes a good working environment, right? Like if we don't think it's a good working environment, it isn't. Period. And nobody can convince us otherwise. But this is also true for the other side. Somebody might look at that situation and say, yeah, this is a good enough working environment, right? And we can't tell them either that it's not a good working environment. But let's imagine for a moment that you had a time machine and you could go back with all the knowledge and experience you have today, and you were there in the same place, seeing the same things happen. What would you have done differently this time, Irene?
So I would speak up, but I would say like the boss, and I would ask him to talk, because at that moment I just ran away, and probably I would go away another time. I would not stay there, but I would like to say to him why. At that moment, I didn't say to him, okay, I don't like it here because the environment is bad. I don't like it. It's negative. I don't understand why I'm doing stuff. I just said, okay, I have to go by, basically. That's an answer that I'm 19 years old. It's fine for 19 years old, not for the person I've become. So maybe if I speak up at the moment, he could also understand why, and maybe also put some changes for the people that actually stay there after. So maybe I would change that, but I don't pretend that I would change the environment in that case, because I think it's very common on a small business in Italy to have this kind of environment. And as a team member, it's very hard to push changes big like that if you don't have also the team support. You could get burned. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's another aspect, right? Like, okay, we could speak up, we could talk about what we see that we don't feel right, but at the same time, we can't change how the others feel about it. So maybe talking to the team and discussing some observations. Hey, I noticed that, and I heard this, and then nothing happened. I don't understand why we're doing this. Do you know why we're doing this? Kind of bringing up the topics. But if people feel that, this is just how it is, it's the old story of the monkeys in a cage, right? Like, I don't know if you know the story of this. 4 monkeys in a cage and a banana in the middle. You have stairs and you could go climb the stairs to get the banana. But every time one monkey goes up, they get sprayed with cold water. And of course, the 4 monkeys very quickly learn that you can't go for the banana because you get sprayed with cold water. But the interesting part of the story is that over time, they replaced all the 4 monkeys so that none of the 4 were the original 4, and they still kept the behavior. And they were happy with it because that was all they knew, right? And whether we like it or no, all of us are monkeys in a cage in some context, in some situations. And it takes a lot of energy to step out and see the cage for what it is, right? It takes a lot of energy to step out and see it could be better if there's nothing else I've ever known, right? So I think that the point of bringing up the topic is valid, but as Scrum Masters, we also need to accept that maybe others don't see it the same way, and that's okay. But if it does not sit right with me, I don't need to stay.
Yeah, that's the point. That's also something that is it's very new to the world of job. If it's not okay with me, I would go away. In Italy as well, because usually you fight for a position, you fight for a company because it's always been like that. And sometimes companies now are really struggling with this, and I understand it could be very hard. But at the same time, I think it's not a good thing to stay in a place where you don't feel okay just because the situation is like this. Either you try to fight it, either it's okay to let it go and go away.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it's just okay to let it go and go away. Well said. Thank you for sharing that story, Irene.
Thank you.
All right, I hope you liked this episode. But before you hit next episode, here's the deal. This podcast is powered by people like you. The members who wanted more than just inspiration. They wanted real tools and real connection to people who are practicing Agile every day. We're talking access to over 700 hours of Agile Gold, CTO level strategy talks, summit keynotes, live workshops, e-courses, deep dive interviews, books, and if you're into no estimates, we got the pioneers of no estimates in those deep dive interviews as well. Agile business intelligence, creating product visions, coaching your product owner courses, you name it. You'll get invites to monthly live Q&As with Agile pioneers and practitioners, plus a private Slack community, which is free of all of that AI slop you see everywhere, and of course, without the flame wars. It's a community of practitioners that want to learn and thrive together. It's the best place to connect with community and learn together. So if this podcast has helped you before, imagine what you will get from this podcast membership. So head on over to scrummastertoolbox.org/membership and join the community that's shaping the future of Agile. And we have so much for you. So check out all the details at scrummastertoolbox.org/membership, because listening is great, it's important, but doing it together, that's next level. I'll see you in the community Slack.
We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? Share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.